A step parenting expert, Chris Burns.
Women's mindset coach and stepmom, Chris Burns.
Welcome to the Step Parent Podcast. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Your stepkids are not responsible for healing your wounds. They're not here to validate you. They're not here to fill gaps in the self-worth or to prove that you belong in this family. I know that might sting to hear. It stung for me the first time that I realized it. But it's also one of the most important lessons that I've had to learn as a stepmom, because when you unconsciously expect children to fix what's broken in you, you're setting yourself and then up for pain, disappointment, and cycles that never end. So in today's episode, I'm going to break this down for you. We're going to look at how this sneaks in without you noticing and why it's so damaging when it does, what's really underneath it, and the practical steps that you can take to stop outsourcing your healing and start owning it. Because here's the thing, once you take responsibility for your own wounds, you free your stepkids to just be kids. You free your partner from feeling like they have to pick sides, and you free yourself from resentment, anger, and that constant pull for validation. So how this can show up, this isn't always loud or obvious. It's subtle. It shows up in the small moments of everyday life. Example, you cook dinner, drive them to sport, fold the laundry, and no one says thank you. So instead of brushing it off, you feel a knot in your stomach. They don't appreciate me. They don't see what I do. But your stepchild reaches for their biological parent's hand instead of yours in a moment at sport, in a moment at the shops, whatever it is, and suddenly you feel a wave of rejection. Or maybe you find yourself going above and beyond, almost bending over backwards just to win a favor. And deep down, you know part of you is hoping for recognition. What happens when that recognition doesn't come? Resentment. It bubbles. Here's the truth. None of those reactions are actually about the child. They are about you. They're about the part of you that still craves someone proving. You want them proving that you are worthy, that you belong, that you are enough. So the reflective pause here is, does this sound familiar? Can you feel those moments in your own story, in your own childhood perhaps? Kids are super intuitive. They pick up on the energy in the room faster than most adults do. So when your love comes with a hidden condition, I'll give it to you, but I need you to validate me back. Kids feel it. They can't always name it, but they feel that weight. And when love feels heavy, kids start to pull back. They don't feel safe. And when that happens, you try harder. You give more, you bend further, you and the gap just gets bigger and it widens, but it doesn't just stop with the kids either. The pressure leaks into your relationship with your partner. When you feel rejected by the child, it can sound even unintentionally like you're asking your partner to choose between you and them. And that creates loyalty conflicts, guilt, and division in the home. What started as a quiet insecurity can ripple into the whole family system. Let's be honest, most of these wounds didn't start with step parenting. Step parenting just shines a spotlight on what's already there. Maybe you didn't feel chosen by your parents growing up. Maybe you've only felt loved when you achieved something. Maybe you've carried rejection so freaking deeply that even a small dismissal feels like confirmation that you're not enough. And then you become a step parent and suddenly all those wounds come back to the surface. Step parenting is like a mirror. It reflects back the parts of you that are still unhealed. But there's good news. Once you see it, once the unconscious is brought consciously, you have power. Awareness is the first step in healing. This is where I'm going to speak to radical accountability, and this is where I'm going to get you really, really straight with you. Your stepkids are not your healers. Your partner is not your healer. This is on you. And that's not a punishment, it's empowerment. Think about it. If you keep waiting for your stepkids to validate you or for your partner to reassure you over and over and over again, you stay fucking powerless. You're constantly at the mercy of someone else's behavior. But when you say, this is my wound, my responsibility, my healing to own, you put yourself back in the driver's seat. You stop outsourcing your power. Radical accountability doesn't mean that you ignore your feelings. It means that you own them. You stop blaming kids for triggering them. You start asking, what in me is being shown here? What's mine here to heal? So that brings me to the next part of this conversation, which is what healing can look like. I'm opening up the mic for If I'm Honest, a new space on the Step Parent podcast where step parents can finally speak their truth, raw, unfiltered, and completely anonymous. You do not need to be polished. You just need to be real. Record your story. I'll listen and share it on the podcast. Because when one of us gets honest, it gives everyone else the permission to do the same. So what healing looks like in the day-to-day is this. It is awareness first. Let's just say that your stepchild might sit next to their bio parent instead of you at dinner. There's an instant sting. Instead of spiraling, pause. Say to yourself, okay, I feel rejected, but is this really about me? Or is this just a child choosing comfort with their parent, right? Separate fact from feeling. Fact, they wanted their biological parent in that moment. Feeling, I'm not wanted, I don't belong. The fact is neutral, the feeling is the wound. Reparent yourself. Imagine you could step back and speak to your younger self, the little version of you that felt unseen or not good enough. What would you tell them? Maybe it's you are worthy, you are loved, you don't need to prove yourself to be chosen. Practice giving yourself what you wish others would. Shift the focus. Stop asking, how can they prove I belong? And instead ask, how can I create belonging for myself? When I stand grounded in the family, even if their response doesn't look how I want it to, how do I choose to manage that? So here are some tangible strategies to take away from today's episode. I really want you to feel empowered by these things that you can go and do in your day to day. So first of all, journaling the triggers. When you feel hurt, write it down. What happened? What story did I attach it to? Over time, you'll see patterns, and these patterns point straight to the wound that needs healing. Create a daily self-validation. So every morning, look in the mirror. I am enough. I create my own belonging. I'm not defined by a child's acceptance or rejection. It feels corny at first, but the repetition rewires your nervous system. Number 3 is practice neutrality. Instead of reacting from pain, practice responding naturally, neutrally. A calm nod, a smile, or a simple okay. Kids can feel consistency, so stop doing the overgiving component to the relationship. The next one is set boundaries. Resentment usually means a boundary is missing. So instead of stewing in anger, maybe ask yourself, what boundary would stop me from feeling like this? And then communicate it. The final thing is do the deeper work. Therapy, coaching, shadow work, meditation, breath work, whatever fucking resonates. Invest in your healing, because when you heal yourself, you stop outsourcing that job to people that can't and shouldn't carry it. So let me close out today's episode by saying this again. Your stepkids are not here to heal your wounds. They don't need that pressure, and you don't need that disappointment. When you take ownership of your healing, you free your stepkids to be just kids. You free your partner from being a referee. And most importantly, you free yourself from the endless cycle of rejection, resentment, and anger that continues to play out at home. That's how blended families thrive. Not when we chase validation, but when we lead with emotional intelligence, radical responsibility, and love that does not demand anything back. If this episode landed for you, please share it with another step parent who might need to hear it. And as always, you can find more tools, resources, and support at www.thestepparentcoach.com. Thank you.